All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episode 20. All right, so we are in a situation where the Alliance has declared a coup d'etat.
Yep.
They have taken over a large portion of the key planets in the Free Planets Alliance.
Yep.
And,
Green Hill's helping them.
Green Hill is leading them. Leading them from the military side of things. And not only that, he is someone that we had come to respect quite a bit.
Yep.
And the reasons for his motivations involved in this are ones where he doesn't really care about himself,
Right.
his own life or what have you.
He sees himself almost as like a babysitter of sorts with all the crazy people that are wanting this coup.
Right. And in that respect, it keeps this complicated.
Yeah.
Because it's not about whether or not their coup succeeds. It's about whether or not they actually affect some kind of change that they're proud of. However, the fact is that he probably has a lot of chaotic, wild children to rein in. And will that be possible? Okay, so Yang is going to have to take direct action with this, which he already is. He is preparing to go up against another fleet that Green Hill is sending out to face him and stop him. Yep, and Yang's probably going to do well, but right now he is going to potentially have to order the killing of Alliance soldiers.
Yeah,
which he's not too happy about.
Right. I mean, of course, Yang isn't the kind of person to vilify his enemy, but that's something that his troops have probably done plenty with the Empire, but it'll be harder to do that now.
And the disconnect between him and the conflict itself. It's now at home, and he can't avoid it or run away from it. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Alright everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion. Alright, so we have ourselves a little bit of a skirmish, a big kind of conflict of sorts within the Imperial uprising situation. Mittermeyer on point.
Yep. I was kind of wondering when we were going to get more Mittermeyer and Ruenthal, because I think the last time we saw something from them was when Kierheis had them go and rescue Reinhardt's sister that one time. But like I would always wanted to see what they do for the other blonde boy in Reinhardt's group, and he does not disappoint. He's quite competent. Right.
He's going up against extremely incompetent people in the space arena side of things, so it's not really too much of a surprise that he absolutely thrashed Stad in there.
Yep.
But there was a cool aspect of bringing back the thing that they did set up along the, way while ago, that Stad was the stuck in theory kind of person where he wasn't actually good beyond the books. He was good to study from, but that's about it.
Right. One of the things I thought was really interesting is just how the contrast was between how Reinhardt did things and how Braunschweig did things. Because Reinhardt basically picked someone that he's like, all right, you don't need to tell me what strategy you're going to use. I know that you know what you're doing, right? And then he sends them out. Whereas with Braunschweig, he was basically saying, explain to me why it will work, and then I'll see whether or not you. I'll do that, right? The problem with that, because it works on the one hand because you're sort of vetting what they say, but you're not the expert. They are. So his own judgment was getting in the way of the person who actually knew what they were doing.
Right.
And then he sends someone out who doesn't know what they're doing.
To be fair, he was deciding who to send out.
That's very true. That is very true.
So,
yeah.
If anything, it is less about, that. It's just seeing which of you is competent. Speak up.
Right.
We're all in this together, kinda. So if anything, Merkatz didn't speak up.
Yep.
So he let them fail.
Which again is one of the reasons of, if you get someone only because you've coerced his daughter, and he does everything, he presents the right option, right? But you choose not to listen. He's not going to fight to make sure that you take it.
I don't know. I feel like Merkatz might end up regretting that decision a little bit because he's in a situation where he's a traitor. There is no necessary, like, really good way that this goes for him. I would say the main way that it works is if literally, like, Reinhardt specifically grants him mercy and goes, okay, yes, I'll bring you back in. But other than that, I don't see it ending well for him. I don't see him getting to see his daughter.
I don't either, and I don't think he thinks it'll end well either. But
so then why isn't he helping this go a certain way? Is he willing to fall on his sword?
Well, I think as long as his daughter ends up being okay, that's his main concern. So even if like it's like, okay, I'm in a sucky situation, right? There's not really any way out of this, but if I can make sure she's okay, awesome. And quite frankly, they're the ones that threatened my daughter, not the other side. So, you know, if they end up not doing too great.
Yeah. Yeah. But his daughter isn't here.
Right.
His daughter is back, back in the Empire. Like, well, not back in the Empire, but isn't she back, like, on the main planet or something?
I don't know.
So,
because I would think they would take her with them.
Yeah, what I would do here is take advantage of this situation and go, hey, I'll leave right now. I'll go and here's my brilliant strategy. Goes straight up to Mittermeyer and goes, yep, you know what? We surrender. The worst thing that could happen, and this is the thing that sucks potentially, is that he might have to have his aide, his second in command, defend him on the bridge when people turn to gun him down. Now, here's the thing. I think that Reinhardt specifically, if encountered by Merkatz, who specifically says, we will betray this, uprising.
I didn't want to work with them anyway.
I didn't want to work with them anyway.
Yeah.
I think Reinhardt would be like, and you'll turn over your ships? And he's like, yes, as long as you are willing to let us basically live, we will devote ourselves to your fleet, come directly under your instruction, and we'll take whatever punishment you give us, but we will serve you. And he's like, you know what? Okay, your punishment. I would like you to go assault the Iserlohn fortress or something. Like maybe he sends them on something like that. But I would think in some ways Reinhardt would actually listen to that. Now, Merkatz can't know the mind of Reinhardt. We have the gift of omniscient perspective here.
And I don't think they've actually stated where his daughter is.
I don't think so.
So she can kind of be assumed to be in the most potentially dangerous situation so that he has to keep working with them, Yeah,
I just would like to have Merkatz do something like that. Because it would just be so good to see Braunschweig now have this moment of like, I can't trust anyone. Fine, I'll do it myself. And then it's like, what are you making that fist for? I was imagining I did an Infinity Gauntlet. But, So we also get to see a classic case of Oberstein giving a little bit of a Grima Wormtongue whispering effect to Reinhardt.
And it was a
great effect.
It was a great, it was cunning and ruthless and whatnot, but it's effective.
I would say in a lot of ways, it's less ruthless than I would expect for Oberstein. This is one where I'm like, oh, we were going to kill him anyway. Sending him back.
It kind of gives like
it's rolling the dice, if anything,
right? Because theoretically,
it's not guaranteed it's going to work,
right? What I figured was going to happen, like the fact that Braunschweig actually ended up having him killed, like that's sort of the best possible scenario, right?
It worked out perfectly.
It worked out perfectly, right. But I thought it was going to be something where he would come back, but then it would be this thing of even if he doesn't end up getting punished,
he
gets demoted. Something happens, and then people are like, right, and then it brings up.
Here's a garrison of 100 soldiers. You just. Yeah, you do that. Right. You're never going to do anything else again, though.
Exactly. And then that would still kind of cripple his effectiveness for the enemy, but it would also show that, if you don't do well, it's just doesn't turn out well for you.
And then all the other nobles will have this kind of unnerving feeling of
my position isn't permanent. Like,
no. That's I don't feel like something.
What do you mean?
I was meaning that the dissent would come out. The idea that it's like, can we trust him really to even be here?
Right.
Wait. Why did this happen? Wait, he was really against Reinhardt.
Yep.
Why did he let him go? Like, I think that question is more devastating than the active thing of him being a threat in the place there. But then Oberstein gets the best of both worlds.
Right.
They get to kill him. And they get the unrest bit, so we don't have to face him again in a future battle.
Yeah, but and then the mistrust is not with him, but it's specifically with Braunschweig, which is even better. Yeah,
or just amongst everyone.
Yeah.
They made up a point specifically at the end of the episode saying, who knows who else will turn traitor before all this is over. And that, I think, the idea of looking over your shoulder and being suspicious of your fellow soldier.
It's no good.
It's no good. They've constantly reinforced how unified and I would say almost familial the admirals of Reinhardt and his crew are. Like, they are a unit. Like, the way he can just, like you said, just delegate and give full autonomy as to how he handles the situation with Staden, that's something unique to Reinhardt. Yang even, like, doesn't really have that fully. He kind of has
he's
it.
Working on getting into that position.
Right,
you know?
Right, but he doesn't really have that at the full level because Yang is not as hands-on as Reinhardt is.
He's responsive rather than proactive, so it's a lot more directive what needs to be done.
Because he's still a little bit of a reluctant hero. Yeah.
One of the things that I also thought was really cool is that Mittermeyer going up against Staden. Awesome, right? As far as the decision behind it, both from the standpoint of Mittermeyer's own competence, but also the idea of you studied under him, you know how he thinks, go take him out. I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah.
But then the idea that Staden, the theory person and all that, you would think that at the very least he would be like, who's leading this fleet? You know, what's the flagship? Whose flagship is that?
Now, he already knew it was Mittermeyer, though.
Oh wait, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh no, okay, yeah. But the fact that he didn't bring up the idea of like, oh, they were my student. Do I think they might have some insight into how I do things? You know,
in some ways, yeah, but that would have worked even more in the favor of Mittermeyer, and I think that's why Reinhardt sent him there, is that you're just going to overthink it no matter what, so let's give you as many variables to think about, which is not only the landmine field, the land space, the minefield or what have you, which is all just a ploy. It's like, oh, why are we even doing this? It's like,
just to make it so that he doesn't move in a straight line, you know?
Which is something like he didn't even have to do. It could have been like, we're just going to move our fleet over here.
Right.
Where there is no minefield. Where we can operate freely.
Yep.
Why are we having to fight here?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Or even...
Mittermeyer's like, dang it. That's how simple it could have been.
Right.
But Mittermeyer's putting in all these things and sending a leaked message or what have you, and also being like, yeah, and I'm your student. And he's like,
in action, I'm coughing up blood, you know.
Just
like, what is it, by the way, with people in this show where they seem to have some kind of like physical ailment whenever they're at like the height of their paralyzing incompetence, not just incompetence,
stress.
But like, well, sure,
stress, dude.
But like, Falk, you know, that guy suddenly he can't see for a while, and then Staden, coughing up blood. It's like, whoa, okay, like.
Yeah, I think the main point to bring up here is that the stress of leading hundreds of thousands...
Oh, yeah, it's got to be insane.
...is not only insane, but a lot of these people that are leading them, especially on Reinhardt's crew, are young. So the people that we're seeing who are up against them that have these things happen to them, I think Falk is not... he's not old at all, specifically. But Staden, I could see it being a thing where he literally stresses himself to the point of something, not an organ collapsing or something, but something where he would have a seizure or something and then have to leave the bridge. But yeah, I still don't know if Falk's was real or not. I mean, it was obviously real. It was obviously real, but it
it was just like, okay,
right. But it felt like he was the kind of thing of like, all right, now I'm with plan. Then he takes the pill of the nasty thing and it's just like, ugh! And then he's like, oh no, now I can no longer be held responsible for the stupid plan I came up with.
But like, and this was Staden, who, granted, like, he wasn't as good as Merkatz, but all the other nobles, they were like, yeah, he knows what he's doing, right? Because
it probably sounded good in theory.
Well, yeah, because it sounded good in theory, and because these people are nobles first, military leaders second.
Oh, sure.
So what Staden has, the pressure that's on Staden, yes, he's theory guy, right? He's not as used to actually leading. But for everyone else, even more so, right? Because Merkatz is their only like truly competent like military leader. Yeah. So for the rest of them, oh man.
Well, they in some ways, I think what was good to bring up was that they brought up the idea of how he was going to go and take a force to Odin.
Yeah.
but they failed at the first check of sneak away from the main group and go attack Odin.
Yeah.
Why did you end up having to encounter Mittermeyer in the first place?
Right, like once you detect on your long-range scanners that the enemy is present, that's when you should be like, uh-oh.
The plan didn't work. All right,
it was a good try, but it didn't work, and at this point, it's not in our favor, so let's go back and we'll be able to do plan B that's more secure and, steady.
Right, and I think that if he had found a way to go and attack Odin... Mm-hmm. It would have been interesting.
That would have been really interesting.
But Merkat's brought up the point of, do they even realize why he can just leave Odin just free and vacant like that? And he's like, nope, I don't think they do.
And they didn't actually explain, I don't think.
Well, they didn't go into detail as to why it's apparently obvious as to why he can do that. But what I liked about it here was that it only takes a moment of thought, doesn't it? And he says, because it is a matter of strategy or tactics. And let me see, what has he said there? It's only a matter of strategy. Why do you permit the sortie? No match. Does it teach them a lesson through experience? They'd never understand it. So basically...
Oh, no, I know why.
Why?
It's... And that's actually could be kind of telling. The fact that they don't tell us is because it's something that's going to happen in the future.
Sure.
It's related to future events, so they don't want to spoil it for us. Mm-hmm. What does Reinhardt want?
Oh.
The universe.
Right.
They go to Odin. Thank you. That really helps.
Right.
That really helps me. Yes, execute everyone there, other than my sister, But, like, wonderful. Awesome. Now I'll come liberate.
You're right. Yeah. Like, Reinhardt's like, oh no, my main capital, whatever shall I do? We liberated.
Yeah. Like, I could almost imagine Reinhardt being like, okay, they're trying to sneak past us. Great. So, Mittermeyer, or even Kirheis, take a very small ship. Go and just get my sister out of there.
Oh, sure.
And then let them do their thing,
I'm sure in a lot of ways he might have basically a contingency plan where he's like, okay, I might send you a message at a specific point. If you get this message, you have to flee Odin.
Right.
If so, here's where you're going. Mm-hmm. You'll be fine.
Right.
But then, Reinhardt would come back, a conquering hero, quote unquote. And
suddenly the entire empire is his,
Right.
The Child Kaiser is dead, and Lichtenlad gone,
Yeah, their whole thing is like, oh no, look, all branches of the royal family, dynasty is actually dead.
I wish I could have been here to save them.
I mean, seize power. I mean, save them, yeah.
I mean, I was going to defeat the enemy. They were all grouped up in this faraway place. It was going to be a long siege,
Right. It is kind of funny, though, that they didn't tell us overtly why, but they basically told the viewer, hey, just think about it for 2 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah. And then you're like, oh, duh. It's brilliant. Good job on you, show. It almost poked the fourth wall a little bit, but I loved it.
Yeah.
We got to see, I would say this is just something that I would say is really good. We got to see Oberstein against other admirals of Reinhardt's group there. What that does is foreshadow a little bit that Oberstein's personal motivations in how he goes about taking down the Golden Bomb dynasty of the Empire specifically is, he wants there to be some signature touch to it.
Sure.
Now, both instances of this I would say would be fine if it was the idea that the fortress with what was his name, Ulvasled or something.
I wrote it down.
Yeah, he was
Ovlesser.
Ovlesser,
yeah.
Ovlesser, yeah. Mm-hmm. They destroyed him. Oh, right. Well, crap. That was one of our strongest, land kind of infantry, leaders. And he's a high admiral, too.
Yep.
Oh, well, okay. I guess we'll be fine. But then if it's, no, he was sent back alive. Well.
Right.
Either way, it worked. But I liked that Mittermeyer and Ruhenthal kind of had that moment of like, I don't like this. Because they can agree that, sure, on a strategic level, this makes sense.
It's a risk, but, the payoff is pretty great.
Right, but they don't like the underhanded nature of it. The way in which it kind of subverts the general, I would say, straightforward, simplistic aspect of war, where our numbers go up against your numbers, and then we smash the numbers against each other until one side gives up. This is more of the mind games, the intrigue, the...
And and the thing is that it's not necessarily that it happens, because they're probably fully aware that it happens and all that stuff, right?
Oh, of course, right.
But that this is the result of them specifically putting their lives on the line, and the result of their hard work is potentially all thrown away.
Right.
Now, the upside, if that doesn't happen, is great, and it still ended up going that way. But what it could feel like is a lack of appreciation.
Yes, exactly. Right? No gratitude coming to them for their efforts and risk.
And in the same way that they referenced this episode, that even Reinhardt can get or Lohengrin, because they're being respectful, but
right.
even Lohengrin can get emotionally compromised by what's happening, right?
Right.
It's the idea of his emotions did not come into play with thinking about them, right? Of you know what? I get what you mean, right? Maybe we will do the more steady approach, right?
Yeah, I think that is fair though in a military sense, because the only real way he should be kind of in a professional sense showing kind of that kind of side of himself to them would be in a personal setting,
right?
Like a very specific one there. And this was more, I would say, if anything, him trying to get back at the guy for talking crap about his sister, but also, in another hand, showing his admirals that he has wrath, and he can send it out. Bring him to me alive. I don't care if you cut off his limbs or what have you.
I will rip out his tongue
myself. It's the idea that, Lohengrin is very much our superior officer, and he is an inspiration of a man, but he is still a human being.
And he is very powerful, and things can happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a little bit of that ruling by fear,
exactly.
kind of thing going on.
It's the kind of thing where if there is some serious division that happens later, none of them will think about this moment.
No,
right?
Of course not.
But this is just sort of the precursor, the little bit of something that's thrown in there that is the foreshadowing of potentially more serious things to come.
Exactly. If we wanted to see evil tyrant Lohengrin just full balls to the wall, just slaughtering anyone that opposes him, casting his hand out in that outstretched tyrant kind of pose as he wishes to not just grasp the star of his dreams, but actually, the galaxy or something. This would be the kind of way he would do it.
Right.
And they now have a slight picture of that. And I don't think that this is going to put in any kind of seeds of derision or division in them necessarily at this point. However, I could see it being a thing where they go, I don't like the way Oberstein seems to have the ear.
The fact that he listens to him over us, even though it still ended up turning out well. Like I feel like this is a parallel to the situation with Ovlesser, where when everyone else is wondering, was Ovlesser actually a traitor?
Right.
Here, they're actually wondering, was this the right call? Right? It worked out well, so it should be the right call. But there's something about it that doesn't quite sit right with me.
Sure.
And that can germinate if left unattended.
Yeah, I do think though that they are very respectful, good boys.
Definitely,
who probably
professional military men.
Right, there's no doubting of the superior officer's orders, especially when they're at this scale.
Exactly,
and they were just given twice. Specifically for Mittermeyer, twice basically the freedom and autonomy to go do the thing. I trust you. You guys are legendary in your specific aspects here, so go for it. Also, I love just the Gale Force title for Mittermeyer.
Oh yeah,
just I am the Storm. That is a really cool name there. Let me make sure I've got that actually right. The Gale Wolf. Sorry,
the Gale Wolf.
Sorry,
right? Because he's Wolfgang Mittermeyer.
Right. So
and his flagship is the Beowulf, so it's like there's lots of wolves there.
Right. I'm very likened. Would it be that? Would that be how you'd say it? Yeah. I'm very likened to his style. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
But specifically the idea of the Storm Wolf. the lightning wolf. There's a whole lot of like fantasy imagery that comes up to mind, and it fits naturally into the next thing I want to talk about, which is medieval warfare.
Yeah.
So I want to try and like explain this in my understanding of it. So if you have laser weapons and crazy high ordnance space combat, okay, awesome. You still have to have moments where you send in shock troopers who break a citadel or a fortress or a bunker or something on the ground. You can't just blow it up because you might have targets or resources or what have you in there that you need. So I love the armor. The armor is legit. It looks awesome. However, the idea that the weapons that they use are such that the armor is basically pointless has to make me think that it is more for either some other type of weapon that is basically rendered inert because of the armor, and they have to then use these awkward weapons.
Yeah, like it's the way I figure it is it's kind of like a rock paper scissors thing, right? Yeah. Because the best way would just be to have everyone have laser rifles and stuff. Problem is that that's like, okay, so if they have those, then you try and develop something that works against it. And it's not like Star Wars where the armor is always useless, right? So there's actually like, no, you have this armor, it makes you almost immune to like most ground level rifle laser fire kind of stuff. Okay. Right.
So projectiles and physical objects can go through it.
Well, and maybe
because bludgeoning damage and piercing damage are always going to be a thing.
Well, right. But it also might be something where it's specifically treated in a way to bypass the armor. So there's the armor, right? And then, okay, in order to make sure that it's not just like that they're just invincible, then we'll develop something to specifically combat the armor.
Right. In when the movie came out, I remember someone saying something to me that basically the weapons were designed in some way specifically for that.
And we just don't necessarily see some energy field around them or whatever it is because that would be too complicated.
I'm trying to remember, actually, because I think this was on the Discord or something like that. But I think it was actually that they're thin.
Oh.
And that reminds me of another sci-fi series that I'm a big fan of, and that's it's more of a YA sci-fi series, but that's Red Rising stuff, which is they have these razors, they have these swords, basically, that are so thin that it's all about the slashing damage. It's not about the stab, because obviously they can stab through things, but the hole they're going to poke you with is not going to be sufficient.
Super big,
but it is really good.
Cut through anything.
Cut through, and then you bleed them out, even through their crazy mechanized armor or what have you.
And then the armor is able to do the energy stuff to keep out the actual like energy blasts and whatnot.
It's just lightsabers, basically. Right. And in this case, they basically are like, hey, we're going to bring up the evocative kind of artistic medieval style with crossbows and axes and knights in armor. And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah.
And as far as the themes of the show, like I am such a big fan of the fantasy or medieval aesthetic brought into the sci-fi, right?
Oh, really?
Like, I love it.
Gotcha.
Like I feel like the lightsaber is like the perfect marriage of the two. But in this situation,
the fact just feels more like Eastern kind of like, like kind of the katana, style thing. Like the,
Sure. But the idea of, especially with the whole spiritual aspect with the, all of that, right?
Yeah.
But with the idea of the axes, what it makes me think of is it highlights the barbaric nature of the war, especially with their suits of armor, with the red eyes and everything, right? Like, it's the idea of, we're going to brutally slaughter each other, right?
Right. Pile the bodies high,
right? Yeah. That's a part of war. That's part of what happens, because in the normal conflicts we see in this show, we just see ships, right? And while we might hear that there are 1.2 million people just died when that fleet was wiped out, like that doesn't have the same effect. It's still a very powerful effect, but for that variation, then we see these like, individuals getting hacked to pieces and, their heads getting cut off when they're on the ground,
Yeah, it's like the one death is a tragedy, 100,000 deaths is a statistic or something like that. It's like, that's something that they could be very pointedly making a deal about here, is that you're like, you didn't blink when Reinhardt, wiped out like 500,000 lives or what have you in one day. But, one guy runs around with an axe and starts chopping people up, and suddenly you're like, this is horrifying. Right. And it's like, And
in that sense, the dissonance of the fact that they're using axes, something so primitive and barbaric, when they're in such this advanced society, goes along very nicely with the humans will always do war, right? Just because you're advanced doesn't mean that barbaric aspect isn't laid bare, fairly regularly.
That's a really good point, yeah. Okay, well, philosophy from medieval weapons that we get regarding war here, and I gotta say, Ulf Lesser, as a character, to just have your episodic little bit, I loved him.
Yep.
He spoke with conviction and passion. He very much felt like he could have been a member of Reinhardt's crew eventually, but I liked that there was an acknowledgement of, like, Reinhardt's like, you're gonna brainwash the guy? Yeah. Like, you're gonna somehow, like, make him of use to me? And he's like, no. Nothing so crude.
Right.
I'm just gonna push him back towards his allies.
Yeah.
I love the ingeniousness of it because I was all in the wrong theory crafting. I'm like thinking on Reinhardt's level of
he's going to, demonstrate that the more glorious battle is on my side or something.
Right. I'm going to give you the best conflict and I'm going to send you against the Isolon fortress and against the personal squad that will invade it. No.
In a zombie apocalypse or, a vampire thing or whatever. Just
make him think you got bit.
Yeah. Yep. There you go.
Suspicion.
Oh boy. Humans are our own worst enemy. I mean,
we are. Yeah.
So,
y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote and published.
That's right. And it also has a different aesthetic, swords and the like, but it's really cool.
Yes.
It's called Battle Lines, and it's on Amazon if you like reading. Link is in the description down below. Go check it out.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.